So Fabian, I know that you're the inventor of the ERC20 token standard, right? And now it's like being used in all the Ethereum tokens everywhere, right? But I know that in 2018 you left Ethereum to develop LUKSO. So what was the motivation behind that?
I mean, the human story behind it is that Marjorie, my ex-wife at the time, she had the idea of creating a blockchain for the lifestyle world, or had ideas to do things with like lifestyle and blockchain and fashion and blockchain. Mm-hmm. And I thought, oh, that's a great idea. Why we don't create a whole ecosystem just around this? Mm-hmm. So the story evolved to create a blockchain specifically focused to more mainstream use cases: lifestyle, fashion, decentralized social media, content creators, like YouTubers, anything, journalism, decentralized journalism, anything that's more like what the internet user of today would use rather than the token finance DeFi world. Mm-hmm. So we wrote this blueprint called Blueprint for New Creative Economies. Mm-hmm. We called it New Creative Economies in 2019. And, like a few years later, this already started becoming a thing with the NFT wave. Mm-hmm. And we built out the whole idea. And the important thing about LUKSO is not so much just the network and the ecosystem that we're creating, but the smart contract standards. Mm-hmm. And I think that ties back to what I did at Ethereum. Is in Ethereum, I was the lead DApp developer. I built the Mist browser, the first Web3 browser. I worked on Web3.js, which is the most used JavaScript library still, actually. It has 17 million downloads. It has, funny enough, the version that people use today is pretty much based still on the exact version that I built when I left the foundation. It's the last thing that I did at the foundation. And then, I proposed the ERC20 standard based on a concept of Vitalik, and we discussed this, and this became the first smart contract standard. I called it Ethereum request for comment, because I just want to have comments. And I thought we discussed and then make a standard, but the number, which was issue number 20 randomly, and the Ethereum request for comment name came the standard's name for any standard that we have right now. But the problem with all of this is that, because it all grew organically, we never really, this was not very thought out. ERC20 was a very quick idea from Vitalik, and we did a few little changes and I discussed a little bit, and everything we have today in the crypto space is based on this. Like everything is based on ERC20 in some way related to that. I mean, 99% of the developer activity is probably on EVM chains, or let's say 90%. And they all do DeFi things that all relate to ERC20. And NFTs do the same. They're nothing else than a slight modification of ERC20 on the end. The problem is that this was never really thought out. So everything, it was just really us going with the flow and trying to figure out how we use this stuff. The smart contract blockchain space was early, so it was way before we didn't even know all the things that make sense, or how people will use them, or what is dangerous, what is not dangerous. So we had a few features that we left out of the standard for that reason. For example, call an external smart contract. So therefore we have this approve and transfer from flow that everybody needs to use right now. So you need to always approve a DEX, and then you can swap, which makes a very terrible user experience, and a very unsecure one too, sadly. And in LUKSO, because we wanted to start a network that's more usable by normal people, I had to rethink the way we interact with blockchain. And that's kind of funnily correlating to a standard I proposed in 2017 called ERC 725. 4 standards after ERC 721, by the way. Funny enough, same timing. So while they proposed the NFT standard, I actually proposed the account standard. That is going to be the next important piece here in blockchain. And I proposed ERC 725, which as a smart contract based account system. So how can a smart contract account work and look like? And initially I just proposed this idea, threw it out there, and thought, I will have nothing to do with that because I didn't want to build anything with it. It's just that I had this idea that I built up on a workshop, and I really had the urge that I should put this out, the standard out. And it got traction. There was an alliance forming, and 40 developers signed up that they want to use ERC 725, and 20 projects. You can go to ERC725alliance.org. Somebody created a website. They're all like, were pretty hyped about it. But I didn't want to finish it. I mean, I was working at Ethereum. I was fine doing what I was doing. But then when I started LUKSO with Marjorie, I realized that ERC 725 and what I did there is extremely essential for what we're trying to build. Because if we want to create a blockchain that's usable by normal people, the account is the most important thing. It's not only an account, it's your profile. It needs to be human usable. You need to have a long-lasting account, right? Something that you can manage over 10 years, 20 years. And you can't do this with an EOA, right? Would you ever consider your MetaMask wallet that you created yesterday on the street somewhere that is very important in 10 years' time still? It would be a horrible idea. It would be very scary, right?
Interesting.
So the thing is, I basically built out this smart contract-based account completely over the last few, like 4 or 5 years now. So since 2017, literally until now, 6 years almost. And we are at this point in time, and that's kind of the exciting time, and that's probably why Cointelegraph should write about us, is that it's like the accumulation of this idea, and now it's releasing, now it's built, and now it's coming out. So we started the network in May 23rd, which is, we released a mainnet that's exactly like Ethereum. So it's the same tech, it's the same consensus algorithm, everything is like Ethereum. Except that we have started as a proof of stake network out of the box. We started with 10,300 validator keys that are only community members. We as the foundation and we as the German company do not run a single validator. It has been people from all over the world that we gave them a CLI tool that will start their nodes, and they all started the network themselves. Which was quite a feat, given that many of them are not so technical. It's just like impressive that it even worked out. And now the network is running since 1.5 months. We have now 23,000 validators, and it's growing. And we migrating now LUKSE to Lux. There's out of 15 million, there's already 4.5 million migrated. So people are moving over, and the important step to bring activity on the network and to make people usable is launching the Universal Profile Browser extension.
So I'm very intrigued. Like you said, the LUKSO blockchain, it's very similar, if not using the same technology as Ethereum.
It's exactly the same.
Right. So what was your rationale to create, to spend all these years to create your own blockchain instead of just launching a layer 1 or layer 2 on Ethereum?
So the reason why we need a new, there's multiple reasons. Number one, we are trying to attract a new crowd, a new group of people, a new ecosystem, that doesn't currently exist on blockchain, which is the creator economy. We saw a little bit of a hype with the NFT wave, but this was just the degens, trading now NFTs rather than tokens. So it's not a new community. It's just degens now selling pigs instead of token symbols. We want to pull in a whole different type of user, a new user. So that ideally has its own blockchain, because blockchains are like countries, right? You want to pick your country where you start building houses and roads. So you need to have your own ecosystem. The other thing is the Ethereum blockchain is full and extremely expensive. And then what? You pick another one that's like also already full. But the main reason, and that's actually the real reason why a new blockchain is, one is the cultural reason, but the main reason is, in order to get people to adopt these new building blocks, you could never do this on Ethereum. If I would go and propose an ERC and say, here's the super smart contract account system, here's these new token standards, we improved everything, it works really well together, use everything like this now from now on, everybody would say, I'm fine, I have ERC20, my wallet already works this way. You know, nobody would do anything. Nobody would adopt this. And the other thing is, when you are proposing a smart contract-based account, you have the problem that you need to pay for the deployment for your users. So the user needs to pay for their account, technically speaking, on a blockchain, and they need to pay for their gas. So in order to solve this problem, we basically create a new chain. By creating a new chain, we can subsidize early users. We can create their smart contract account for them because we have a token. And we have a portion of the token that we can use to subsidize. And we are basically subsidizing early users creating their accounts, and we're subsidizing early users paying for their gas. So the onboarding experience for a user is basically, you come in, you install a browser extension, you interact with the apps right away. You don't need to write down a seed phrase because the smart contract account lets you upgrade your security. You don't have to pay for gas because the transaction relay service in the background pays for the gas, which we subsidize. And you don't have to worry about account deployment, it's all automatic. Obviously, this is not something that lasts forever, right? We cannot subsidize the LUKSO blockchain forever. But what we can do, what we're doing with this is we're instigating the creation of competitive transaction relay services. So in Ethereum, that's called bundler. Or for 367, you call it bundler.
Yeah.
But I mean, so basically, these transactions, so think of it like this. In order for the internet to work, right, we needed internet service providers. AOL, T-Mobile, whatever you have, right? You need to pay them a monthly fee so you can have internet at home. If you want to use a mobile phone, you pay $20 a month so that you can have 10 gigabytes or 20 gigabytes of data, right? We know if we want to use the internet or mobile data, we need to pay an external service. We are very used to that. We need the same thing for blockchain. We need a transaction relay service, you know, that you go to. They create you a free account because they want to have you as a customer. They give you 10 million gas to play around and see if this whole like Web3 account shit makes any sense and it's cool, and you can just play around. And then once you're hooked, you pay them a monthly fee, and you get your 20 million gas per month. And once you have a lot of competing transaction relay services, we just we lower our subsidization and we pull ourselves out. We make our transaction relay service maybe a paid for one as well. And then you have an ecosystem where everybody can easily onboard. Everybody has a user experience the same way like we do it today with monthly subscription, and you use blockchain. These transaction relay services can also later support multiple blockchain, not just LUKSO. They can also say, hey, you can create an account. We make it so that we deploy 3 accounts on 3 networks. We pay your gas on 3 networks. Your 10 million gas count for all 3 networks, for example. And that's when you get this ecosystem rolling. And that's when you get these smart contract-based accounts and these new standards adopted. Because everybody who comes to LUKSO will use them. And actually, I even created a whole new standard space called LUKSO Standards Proposals, or LSP. Because I wanted to be outside of the noise of the ERC space. I wanted to be away from this whole 7,000 standards blah blah debate about whatever random extra ERC20 feature they can add. So this way we start with a clean state. We have the account building block, we have the token building block, we have the NFT building block. Everything works very nicely together. The account system is completely built out, sophisticated. Everything that people are talking here about, account abstraction, they're talking about the first step of account abstraction, which is gasless transactions and how to verify, transactions on chain. We have built the other rest of the 20 steps that come after that. We built the account gasless as well. We have a single function that solves that problem instead of having all this complicated bundler stuff that is, in my opinion, too complicated. But we also have an account. Smart contract account, they can store information. I, by the way, encourage you to watch my talk here on YouTube because I'm showing the features of the account very well. But it basically, you have a smart contract account, you can store information, the account can react or interact with anything. It can react on incoming assets. There's a universal receiver function, so it can react on anything, any future asset somebody builds can inform your profile. You can add multiple devices. You can give different levels of permissions to each of the device. You can say that your phone can maybe interact with the blockchain, but your home computer can like rescue or recover or add new devices. Or you can say an app can control your profile, but can also talk to one smart contract calling this specific function. So you can restrict everything very fine-grained. This way now you can have a VR game holding a key, acting as your account on chain while you have a VR headset on. You literally have a key that controls your profile, but because you restrict it in such a way that it cannot do any harm, you can literally be your smart contract profile in a VR game or in any kind of other app. And we can extend the account. We can also add support for 4337 if we want. I mean, if people want to. It's a completely self-sovereign smart contract ecosystem and account system that is completely extensible. Anybody can invent what the heck they want on top of this. It's very neutral, unbiased, works for every blockchain too, but LUKSO will make it fly, basically.
Yeah, very interesting. So I know it stated that one of the main focus of the LUKSO blockchain is that of building these decentralized identities. So could you elaborate a little bit more on that aspect, please?
I mean, the thing is, I personally don't like the word identity. That's why we call it profiles.
Profiles.
Because the problem is with identity is that identity has this notion of like, you know, that it's tied to a person. But you can have 5 profiles. One where you put your real picture on it, 3 where you have no picture on it, and 2 where you look like Mickey Mouse. So you can have different kind of identities, if you will, different kind of profiles, and you use them in different contexts. That's how you can ensure that you still have privacy. Because you might not want to use the same account for everything you do on the blockchain, right? You want to use probably different ones. And so this profile is basically, it's like your wallet, it's like an EOA, it's like a Gnosis safe, but on steroids, and it's a real profile. And the benefit of this is that now people can literally have a face on the blockchain. They can be someone. So imagine you have a DAO. The DAO itself will be a profile. It will have a multisig with members and maybe some voting. Every member will be a profile, so now you can know who is participating in the DAO. People can gain reputation. You see what they're doing, who they are, right? A brand or a creator or a fashion designer or a YouTuber can have a profile. If they publish a new video, everybody can see, hey, they published a new video. It's this profile. It's a decentralized profile owned by the creator. Nobody can shut it down. You can have a follower system and a reputation system built on the blockchain now. And you can have a really, truly decentralized internet account that is fully owned by the creator. So if you create an NFT collection, it should be deployed by that profile. It will be referenced by this profile. So you can look into your NFT, you see it's this profile who created it. The profile will reference that has created these NFT collections. So now you can do on-chain verification, smart contract verification of authenticity of NFTs. Anybody who looks into a block explorer when they support universal profiles will see who created what. And it will become a transparent creator ecosystem on-chain, the real way. And right now, what people don't understand is that the NFT space is a complete joke. Because you have NFT collections, on-chain, you have no visibility. You don't know who created what, because maybe some random key deployed it, or maybe it was the key that was associated to an ENS name, but maybe he changed it last week because he switched his wallet. So now it's another, the keys are like untied again, right? So you have no visibility on-chain who's doing what. So people care about the collections, but they don't care about the creators. But what's the most important thing? The artwork or the artist? The one who creates the art and will create new stuff, or that one artwork he did? It's obviously the artist that makes the most sense to follow, and not just the artwork. And that's right now in the NFT space as we have it. It's like it's a joke. You kill OpenSea, where do you find the profile of the guy? It's gone. You don't see anything anymore. Could be that fake Bored Ape or the real Bored Ape. You have no idea. You would need to make a complex chain analytics to figure out what's real and what's wrong, right? This can be all solved when people actually have their profiles on chain, and that changes the game.
Very good points. I wanted to get your commentary on another matter. actually. So one of the very popular tokens, another token standard that's getting very popular recently is the BRC20 token standard, and I think that follows a very similar development story, right? It's like it's something like that wasn't well thought out, and I believe the developer of BRC20 actually said, "Hey guys, this is just a joke. Don't take this seriously." Right, so I think
it is a joke.
It is a joke. As a developer of the ERC20 token standard, what are your thoughts on the futures of Bitcoin ordinals and inscriptions and BRC20?
I mean, the thing is, I have not looked in detail into how BRC20 works, so I cannot really judge on the technology of that. But the fact that it's called BRC20 makes it already a joke. I mean, it's like just like TRC20 and BRC20, and like just the fact that like they take the same name. It's obviously, he means it as a joke. I mean, the thing is, it's good if people like create new standards, and if it's on Bitcoin, wherever. The problem with Bitcoin is extremely limited. Bitcoin is like not a generic programmable blockchain. It's slow, 10 minutes block time. It's a secure settlement layer, still, I would say, yeah. I mean, I haven't used Bitcoin in 100 years. I mean, I stopped like using it in 2014 because it's just slow and outdated. But it's good that people build stuff. I mean, I don't know. The thing is, the other issue is that, when ERC20 became popular, everything was a token. Identity was a token, everything was a token. So then when the NFT wave came, now everything is an NFT. Now your profile must be an NFT. Anything must be this is like stupid, You can program anything on a smart contract blockchain. You can build systems that are anything. So making an NFT a profile is just a stupid move. Because we can build a smart contract account that works very differently, not like an NFT, and is everything an account needs to be. So people need to get out of this mindset that everything is a token or everything is an NFT. You need to understand how you build real things, and that's what we have done. So the universal profiles, smart contract-based accounts, this is the next big thing. That's the next most important standard, in my opinion, that this blockchain space will see, because it will change everything. Like so many apps couldn't be built because you have no way to attach information to an account, because the account is always just a random address. So many things are literally impossible today because there's no proper account. Now people are talking about using Safe as a smart contract account, Safe Wallet, right? But Safe Wallet is a multisig. It's not an account. It's a simple wallet that allows you to have multiple addresses to multisig it. But you can never use this as an account because you can't attach any information to it. If you want to use it for multiple devices, you need to create a multisig and say, oh yeah, there's 5 devices, 5 addresses, and we make a 1 out of M signature. So every device can now do everything. So that means you lose one device, it gets stolen, it locks you out, locks all the other devices out of your account. There's no permission system. It's not thought out as an account. It's thought out as a multisig. That's what it is. So I've spent the last 5 years, figuring this out, and we built it out, and it's going to change the whole way of how people can interact with blockchain, because the UX is now, it can be really, you can build any kind of onboarding, any kind of recovery system, any kind of permission system on top of this, whatever people want to build on top of that account system. And it's well thought out because I spent since 2017 doing that.
Very interesting. I just wanted to continue off that point a bit, but from a business perspective, because obviously building out a mainnet project through 6 years, it's like 3 or 4 crypto market cycles, right? So how are you guys doing in terms of runway? And are you guys looking to seek financing, raise a series round soon?
I mean, first we are a decentralized network, so we're not financing ourselves like the old way. So we have done an ICO in 2019, 2020.
Okay.
And it was done not as just an ICO, because I kind of kicked off the ICO wave. I made something called a reversible ICO. And basically what we did is that people had 8 months time where they could buy LUKS tokens. So they sent Ether to a smart contract, and this Ether were then buying over 8 months linear LUKSE, and they could always, at any point in time, take portions of the ether back. So if, for example, after 4 months they realize, oh, Fabian is an idiot and his project is shit, they could have gotten half of their money back, or their ether back. We only got access to half of this, or like over the percentage. So I wanted to show that we can make an ICO that's safe by design, that's fair, and reversible ICOs, for example, will be used probably in the future for, I don't know, design and fashion projects or creators or other projects built on LUKSO. Any of them should make a reversible ICO rather than a normal ICO, because now you can align the people who buy the stuff with the projects, and there's far more fairness and security. So we raised, or we sold LUKSE back in the day in this reversible ICO, and we are running from that. And now mainnet is live. There's a foundation that has funding, that has LUKS, because the community created a network. They assigned funds to the foundation. We are building everything from the LUKS we have and from the reversible ICO we did like a few years ago. And that gives us, if everything goes well, an indefinite runway. The good thing is also we don't have big VCs on board. So this project, literally nobody can influence it in any way. And also on the top of this, it's a decentralized network. Now the network has started. It's run by the people. Like I said, we're not running a single validator. So the network is decentralized, 100%. It's exactly just people running it. So we will support the ecosystem. We will build, the universal profile tools and other tools and help, grow the ecosystem. But we are not in control. We are not in charge of this. Because the network started. The 42 million LUKS exists now. They're in the hands of people. Only the foundation holds 26% of that, and that's it. There's another interesting aspect to decentralization. We put in the deed of the foundation a clause that when LUKS reaches $2 billion in market cap over 6 months, the foundation has to put 70% of its LUKS into a freezing smart contract where they become inaccessible over 5 years. So over these 5 years, it can still take out up to 10% every month or every 3 months, I don't remember. And it could take out at maximum, I think, 35% of that 70%.
Okay.
So basically, the foundation is forced to become decentralized, to reduce its assets so that no single entity holds too much LUKS, too much tokens of the network. So that's also cool. Set in the deed of the foundation.
Cool. Yeah, awesome.
So it's all about creating a decentralized ecosystem, then giving them these new standards and new tools, and then see what happens when people have well thought out tools. And the short story is, I've been there in the beginning. I made up a lot of this tech that people use and how we do it, but we didn't really think it super through. And now I spent the last 5 years thinking it through and building it out the right way. And now starting with, the building blocks done the right way, cleaned up, well working together. We have 20 LSPs, 20 standards proposals from LUKSO that are all working together in a nice way. That will literally solve all the problems that people discuss here on every Ethereum conference since the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Sounds bold, but it's true.
Excited to hear the next chapter of this.
That's the next chapter of blockchain here. Definitely the Ethereum world and EVM world, which is the whole blockchain space on the end.
Yeah. All right. I believe that's it for time. Thank you very much for joining me today, Fabian. I really appreciate it. Yeah. Awesome.